You are about to get stormed into next week, my friend.
I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Look, stranger things have happened. Anything can
Maybe.
happen.
Sideboards are very powerful tools in Modern.
A Birds of Paradise to start here for Dan. Let's go back over to Caleb, who unsurprisingly has a blue-red land and a cantrip. It'll be a sleight of hand here. Caleb, a lot of success here on the SCG Tour. Of course, known for playing Storm. Actually won his SCG Regional with Storm. And Storm continues to be a very well-positioned deck here in Modern.
Just want to say yesterday, Paul Muller tweeted out, made day 2, started off like 1-3 or something, and I was just like, nice Storm deck, bro.
It's probably going to be okay in day number 2. We'll see how Paul continues to do. For now, Caleb is going to play Baral, Chief of Compliance, to kind of negate the effects there of Thalia. Though Path to Exile, a good draw there for Dan.
Yep. This draw is pretty interesting. Dan's actually a little short on mana. The Thalia actually keeps him from going Path to Exile plus Knight of the Reliquary. He needs to get some pressure on the battlefield to make sure Caleb doesn't have enough time to actually set up, even through the Path to Exile on his Brawl Chief of Compliance. But that should buy him enough time to really get some work done.
And that's a Noble Hierarch. And now, Thalia will come in with 2 Exalted triggers, so Caleb's going to fall down to 16.
I wouldn't be surprised to see this. Oh, wow.
He's going to go tonight.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't hate it. This is actually a fine play. You're trying to put pressure on the battlefield to kill Caleb as quickly as possible. It's very unlikely that Caleb's actually able to win this turn. He needs something to remove the Thalia to get the full boost from Baral. And if he doesn't have it, it's basically just like playing without a Baral. And the deck does have a pretty tough time comboing without one of those mana-based creatures.
Well, we're going to go back over to Dan, who might not have a bad time after all. He does have Restoration Angel in hand, along with Path to Exile and a land. 7-2 is Schriever. He'll play a Windswept Heath.
This Gavany Township secretly looking pretty scary.
Yeah, Township, those counters can add up in a big way. He can actually probably close this game out in 3 turns, potentially 2, depending on what he finds. Here comes Thalia again.
With the Path to Exile at the ready as well, I think he might actually just steal this game. Thalia is very good against spell-heavy decks, and Caleb Scherer's Storm deck. I play a lot of humans, and it's usually pretty scary to play against Storm, even with one of their worst matchups, just because they can kind of kill you out of nowhere sometimes.
That is kind of what they're known for.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you have a Thalia breaking off their mana creature, it might be enough just with this quick clock.
There's Path.
I would have loved to see this on upkeep, specifically because you don't want to give your opponent a chance to remand.
Yeah,
and for all I know, this could be upkeep.
Yeah, Caleb does have the opportunity to remand here if he'd like. And he's looking at the remand in his hand. So interesting situation here. Dan's deck definitely geared towards beating a deck like Humans and some of the more mid-range stuff. But he's found some of his more important cards in this particular game. So here's Remand on Path to Exile. Dan will take a look, just wants to make sure he knows exactly how that works. Probably the interaction with Baral, too, is what he wants to know. So the Baral interaction will happen now. Remand, of course, allows Caleb to draw a card, and now Baral will allow him to draw and discard. He'll discard a Shivan Reef. There is the Chief of Compliance. Too good for Brawl, of course, is the 1/3 Human Wizard. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and whenever a spell ability you control counters a spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card.
No, I don't think he's too good for the Brawl format. I think he's too good for Heads-Up Brawl, which is the primary place of play for Brawl on Magic Online. And when a lot of your data is coming from Heads Up, you don't really see, like, counter spells, for example, are really good Heads Up. Like Essence Scatter, Negate, Syncopate, Supreme Will. These cards basically make Brawl busted.
Sure.
But when you're playing a 3 and 4 person game, like, who cares if you Essence Scatter like their commander one time or whatever?
This will be a sleight of hand. Caleb going to take a look at a Serum Visions and a land. Looks like he's going to go with the Serum Visions, so the land will go to the bottom of the deck. Sleight of hand is done resolving. Your follow-up will be a Serum Visions. So Caleb will draw, and of course Scry 2. Looks like he may have found his copy of Unsubstantiate there. We're all among these cards.
I think you might need to keep the Brawl, not search with Path to Exile.
If Dan wants to fire the Path to Exile off here.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to start by sacking the fetch land.
So here, actually, Dan can go EOT, fetch, Neither Rock Quarry fetch after floating a mana. Use Gavany Township, untap, use Path to Exile, and that might be enough to kill with Knights. It might be a little short.
Yeah, so he'll activate Knight here, sacrificing a forest. Curious to see what land he wants to search up. Looks like it might be a fetch land. He'll get a Misty Rainforest.
Actually, I think it's 13 damage, if I'm not mistaken. Because Knight's going to be naturally a 5/5 +1 counter from the Gavany Township. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it's exactly 12. The Unsubstantiate could muck things up a little bit.
So right now, to take a look at the graveyard, we're looking at a 5/5 Knight, 3 lands in the graveyard. So here's your Township activation. All the creatures get a little bit bigger, of course. Get some big dice on those creatures there. Just looking at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so that's exactly 12 as it currently stands, as you mentioned.
Yep. If he's able to draw a white-producing land, he can threaten lethal, force Caleb to use Unsubstantiate, and if he targets Thalia, he's able to recast the Thalia before the end of the turn.
Well, you said if he drew a white-producing land, he did in Horizon Canopy, so we'll see how Dan continues to play this turn out. It looks like he's in pretty good shape.
I mean, this is 12 damage. Caleb, if he has the Unsubstantiate, is forced to bounce something mid-combat. And if he bounces now the Reliquary, he still has to deal with the Thalia. And the Brawl on top of his deck is still just going to be canceling out Thalia instead of gaining him any traction.
Dan making sure of himself right now how he wants to use this Path to Exile. He's only got one to work with, and he doesn't want to screw it up. Trying to figure out exactly what Caleb could do here. Yeah, you can see just a little unsure of himself on what he wants to do in this situation. And it looks like he may just attack first. Very conservative attack, I think, here.
So right now the Knight's a 6, the Thalia's a 3. So that's 9. The Horizon Canopy threatens 10. It's possible Dan's just playing a little bit safe, and he's just going to try to upkeep Path to Exile again. If it gets remanded, he can still pay for it multiple times with the Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarchs. He also has the activation of Gavany Township at the ready as well. This actually might threaten lethal just with these two. I think I might have missed it. So right now, Knight's a 6. Thalia's a 3. That's 9. Township makes it 11. Pop Canopy equals 12, and he has just enough mana to do all that.
Yeah, with the mana accelerant that are on the battlefield. Okay. Yep.
The problem with this
is Unsubstantiate.
Is Unsubstantiate, and the fact that he doesn't have access to Path to Exile now. So if he goes for it here, there's a good chance Caleb takes 1 damage, Unsubstantiates Thalia, untaps, and just wins the game.
Yep.
This might have been a pretty big misstep from Dan.
Yep, and here is that Unsubstantiate that's going to bounce the Thalia. So you see that damage is going to be dealt, of course, via the Knight of the Reliquary, but that's not lethal. And I don't know if you've ever seen anyone tap that fast before. But
yeah. Holy cow.
But
Caleb's just, thanking the high heavens that he gets to untap with a Brawl, didn't get hit with a Path to Exile.
Now, I know that you've probably played against Caleb a time or two before, right?
Just a few.
Okay, I actually don't know how many times you've played against him. Okay, but normally what happens with Caleb is if he goes and reaches for his counters,
you're dead.
You're dead. Yeah. So I'm not going to announce anything. I'm not going to say it's over until he actually goes reaching. Until he asks the table spotter for his Storm counter, which he earned from winning an invitational, and the red and blue mana counter. It's not over yet.
Okay, I disagree.
It's over now.
Okay,
It's over now. Now it's over.
Okay.
Now it's over.
All right.
Trust me. Now it's over.
So, what do you want to talk about? Because this is going to take a few minutes. Dan might just concede like mid-Manamorphose.
Maybe. That normally gets it. But now Caleb, this is like his little shop. He's got his little setup here now. 3 red mana here. And now he'll play another Pyretic Ritual. That'll be spell 3 up to 5 red. Just looking for a Manamorphose here in just a moment. He actually has a copy of Repeal that he's going to play. The Repeal is going to bounce the cheapest threat on the battlefield, which will be a Noble Hierarch. That'll allow him to draw into Manamorphose, which I know he put on the top of his deck, and he did, so he'll cast that. The only question now, Todd, is does he have Gifts? Does he have another Cantrip? Does he have Past in Flames?
I believe I saw him draw Past in Flames earlier in the game.
Yep, there it is.
So even though he doesn't have much else going on in hand, that Past in Flames gives him access to the entirety of his graveyard, which features a ton of cantrip effects and everything he's cast this turn. Ritual effects, Manamorphose, etc.
Looks like he's going to start with a Serum Visions. Going to be down to 1 blue. This will be spell 7 for Caleb. Draw a card, another sleight of hand. Take a look at the top couple. There's a Manamorphose there. He's obviously going to keep that.
Yeah, this is going to be all she wrote here. He also has the Remand in hand, so once he finds the first Grape Shot, he just gets to go Grape Shot, put the triggers from Storm on the stack, remand it, do it again, and that should be more than plenty.
You saw him draw a card there. Here is Serum Visions now. Yeah, this is one that Dan, I think he overthought himself a little bit, as now Caleb has actually found a Gifts Ungiven, so it is the full lock here, I believe. There's Pyretic Ritual. Yeah, that was a situation where the Path Exile that he had was so good, I don't think he realized how good it was going to be. And that's kind of tough.
Yeah, I mean, I like that he found a different line of attacking with lethal. The problem is he just left himself with less mana, and that was the problem. Like, if he just goes main phase Path Exile, attack with all my creatures, he still has 2 mana up, so if it gets remanded, he gets to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't get remanded, he still has 2 mana left over to replay the Thalia should Caleb have Unsubstantiate. Now, Unsubstantiate is a newer card out of the Storm decks. It's possible he just didn't play around it because he didn't expect it.
Yeah.
He wanted to put Caleb in a spot where he was needing to chump block one of his larger creatures as opposed to maybe blocking something like the Noble Hierarch and it surviving. So maybe just a slight misstep from Dan, but just unfamiliarity with all the potential options at Storm's disposal. I mean, it's not like they have a ton of Unsubstantiates. They have 1.
Yeah.
1 Repeal, 1 Unsubstantiate.
And sometimes does Caleb have the 1 Lightning Bolt too?
Not in the main deck that I see, but he has 3 in the sideboard.
Okay. Some players play a Bolt main, some players say an Unsubstantiate, some players play a Repeal. Caleb has no direct damage, but he's got the Unsubstantiate and the Repeal. We've seen both this game. Now he's found the Grape Shot. Things have just gotten comically easy. So as Caleb puts through the final paces of this game, as there's a Desperate Rituals for a little more mana, he'll be up 1, and we'll have to see exactly what Dan has to bring from the sideboard, as here is Past in Flames that he'll flash back. Now he will play a Grape Shot. I think he's got a Remand in the graveyard as well, but he can just do a little more of this action. There's a Grape Shot, and that is going to do it. So Caleb Scherer is going to win game number 1 here over Dan Schriever, as Blue-Red Gift Storm is going to go up a game here over Green-White Midrange. It's one that unfortunately Dan let slip away, but we'll see if he can tie things up here for game number 2 in just a sec. Welcome back. Getting ready for game number 2 here between Caleb Scherer and Dan Schriever. We got Blue-Red Gift Storm against Green-White mid-range. Caleb able to pull game number 1 out. We'll see if he can get game number 2 or if Dan can tie it up. We will start, however, with Dan's sideboard of 2 Eldritch Evolution and a lot of one-ups. Buckle up.
Holy moly.
Acidic Slime, Surgical Extraction, Scavenging Ooze, Engineered Explosives, Stony Silence, Selfless Spirit, Fairgrounds Warden, Kentucky Wars Wage, Reclamation Sage, Shall I, Voice of Plenty, Eidolon of Rhetoric, Ghost Quarter, Even Mind Sensor. There are a lot of one-ofs there, Todd, but there are some good ones.
Yeah, so this is kind of the approach that I always used to take in Legacy when I was playing Green-White Maverick. And a lot of these one-ofs out of the sideboard are just good to naturally draw in specific matchups. Like, if you just draw an Even Mind Sensor and cast on turn 2, that breaks off Caleb's Gifts Ungivens, for example. He also has access to Eidolon of Rhetoric, a very clear anti-storm card, and 2 Eldritch Evolution just gives him more virtual copies of those cards. I would like to see him bring in the Scavenging Ooze, even the Engineer Explosives, as not only a way to kill the 2s from Caleb Scherer, but also as a backup plan to beat Caleb if he should go the Empty the Warrens route.
For Caleb, you mentioned the Empty the Warrens route, which he does have one of in his sideboard. He's also got 4 pieces of the puzzle, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Pyromancer Ascension, and a Braid, a Giga Drowse, an Echoing Truth, a Shattering Spree, and a Wipe Away.
Yeah, I don't like a ton of stuff. The Wipe Away might be a necessary concession to beating some of the hate cards from Dan Schriever. The Braid as well might come in just to be able to destroy something. Other than that, I don't really know. The Empty of the Warrens plan could be good. The Echoing Truth might be okay. I would just defer to Caleb in this spot. This green-white mid-range deck is not something we've seen a ton of, especially in this specific form. So it's going to be interesting to see what both players bring to the table after game 1.
Well, those are both options there for you, and we will watch game number 2 in just a moment as Dan appears to be mulliganing to 6 cards at this stage. So we'll see if he can find a 6-card hand that he does like. He does have some mediocre cards to get out of his deck like Thragtusk and some decent cards to bring in. And we'll see if, more importantly, he can find Thalia in this game, because that was the card that gave him a real shot in the last one. Looks like he's going to keep and scry.
One interesting card out of Dan's sideboard is Shall I, Voice of Plenty, being a way to not only protect himself from Grape Shot, so that's something that Caleb has to remove from the battlefield, but it also gives hexproof to all the rest of his creatures. So if he has an Eidolon of Rhetoric on play, Caleb has to basically unlock the problem creature by getting rid of Shall I first. So it's just adds more protection for his disruptive creatures.
And we can't forget, too, Shall I will give Dan protection from Gifts Ungiven as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
yes.
So there are some nice things that Shall I can do in the matchup. It is a 4-mana spell, so maybe those Eldritch Evolutions came in as well to make it so you can jump the curve a little bit and get there, but we'll have to find out.
Oh, for sure. Eldritch Evolution, I would bet from Dan's side comes in every single matchup. Just because he has so many one-ofs, he's probably bringing in 3 or 4 of those creatures every single round, and that just gives him 2 more virtual copies of those cards.
Well, there is Thalia, and that is a problematic card there for Caleb. We know that for sure. He was able to overcome it last game. We'll see if he can do it again. He does have land number 2 there in Shivan Reef. Does he have another mana accelerant? He does. I call them mana accelerants, of course. I suppose they are cost reducers. Either way, Baral is here. And, of course, Baral will be a 1-3 against a 2-1. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. Don't at me.
There's a Scavenging Ooze. That'll be a good one there.
I got so much to say about Burrow, man. I don't have enough time. Y'all don't want to hear it.
Snow-covered island, it looks like in Caleb's hand. He will play a Serum Vision, so now it's time for Caleb to draw on the Scry 2. Serum Vision's among the cards that Caleb is looking at with the Scry. So he'll put a Serum Visions on top, and he'll put another card on the bottom. Split the difference on the Scry. There's a Snow-covered island. This might be a Goblin Electromancer here in just a moment, and it is.
That's going to put Caleb a little ahead here. He's basically in the same position that he would be in if he casts a Brawl on an empty battlefield, which is a pretty scary place to be.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Dan really needs one of his other disruptive creatures here, potentially a 4th land to cast Eldritch Evolution. He does have a reasonable amount of green mana to pick apart the graveyard with Scavenging Ooze to make it a little bit more difficult for Pest and Flames to be the card that kills him, though.
Yeah, he's going to search up a basic forest here off of that Windswept Heath. Fall down to 18 in the process, it appears, and we'll see him remove one of these blue cards from the graveyard. Looks like he's going to go with sleight of hand. He'll get to that Serum Visions later as we go back over to Dan.
That's why I say I've never cast a Ponder in Modern before and thought that, like, man, this is it. This is the one that does it. But when my opponent plays a Baral Chief of Compliance and I don't kill it, I know I'm dead.
That's correct.
And for me, that is a very clear line where something should be banned or not.
Nah, I like it being legal.
I don't. It generates more mana than Seething Song. There.
Well, that's just true. that's accurate. That's accurate. So what you're saying is they should unban Seething Song.
Sure.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
I mean, we got everything legal behind us over there.
That's true. That's true.
Know, I would not be surprised if the top 8 is just 4 Baral, 4 Electromancer, 4 Seething Song, 4 Ride of Flame. You know,
I don't even know. Baral might be too slow for that deck. I don't even know.
Yeah, you got Chrome Mox.
That's true. Ooh, turn 1 Baral, turn 2. See ya. That's my kind of deck right there. Ooh, that sounds nice.
Yeah. I mean, we see Moxen in legacy versions of Storm and Lotus Petals and such, so it's possible that Chrome Mox is actually very good in that deck. Who knows? I don't.
Well, Players Band is at 15 rounds to sort it out. I'm very excited for that. All right. Okay, so Dan, for how difficult this matchup is, I think these matchups are actually very bad for him. He's drawn a lot of the good cards.
Yeah, the problem here is that Caleb's deck, once it starts to get the engine rolling, you know, he has these 2 mana creatures in play. One of them's canceling out the Thalia. The other is making his deck play like it's supposed to play. He could set up a spot where he gets to go Grapeshot Shalai for like 20 or whatever, and then use a Remand or Unsubstantiate or a Past in Flames to rebuy the Grapeshot to just do lethal on this turn.
Let's see what this is going to be. Here comes Manamorphose.
There it comes.
Oh, no. Oh, no. He's reaching for his toys.
There it comes. Oh, Thalia, we hardly knew ye.
This is going to be...
Shalai, you're making your modern debut.
Yeah, you're about to be echoing truth off the battlefield, I think.
He's got Gifts Ungiven, Grapeshot, 2 more red cards. I don't know what they are, but they're probably good enough.
I think he just needs like 1 ritual to really rock and roll here. There's a mountain. That's his land for the turn.
Oh. It's possible he got the tokens out preemptively. If he doesn't have a ritual here, I think he is a little short. Don't quote me on that.
Another Manamorphose.
Okay, that counts.
Yep.
So he could just burn off a Grapeshot for 4 here to kill the Shalai. And then go for it pretty hard next turn, maybe. We'll see.
What do we got
Or
here?
double Grapeshot. Double Grapeshot, clear the board. Next turn, just go Gifts, kill you.
Yeah.
Maybe he can still Gifts this turn?
I think it's possible he could Gifts this turn still. He's going to play Echoing Truth, it looks like. So he's going to use his only blue mana that's floating. He, of course, still has access to Shivan Reef. All right, so shall I? See you later.
All right, should be Storm 4. Yep. Now, 2 Grapeshots in hand and a Past in Flames. So he can Past in Flames first. Leaves him with 0 floating. But he gets to go Manamorphose, Manamorphose, Grapeshot, Grapeshot. So this might just be enough.
So yeah, Manamorphose, okay. I think if he finds Pyretic or Desperate, the game is over.
No, it is actually lethal. He goes Manamorphose again. That puts him up to 7 Storm, Grapeshot for 8, Grapeshot for 9.
Okay.
That's 17.
Yeah, he even gets to throw in a Serum Visions here, it looks like. So another Grapeshot. Yep, there's a Desperate Ritual, which he put on top very quickly, and Grapeshot underneath it. Now he'll Manamorphose. 1 and 1. Draw a card, play that Desperate Ritual. Now we're done. Now we're probably done.
Are you really going to cast Gifts Ungiven here?
No, I think he's going to play his Grapeshots. That's Grapeshot 1.
Okay. 10 ya.
And Grapeshot 2.
11 ya.
Caleb Scherer going to win this match over Dan Schriever. 2 games to 0.
Caleb.
Blue-red Gift Storm going to take care of green-white mid-range. I had a feeling Dan might have a bad time, and he did. Unfortunately for him, as Caleb is going to move on to 8-2, working his way towards another top 8 and maybe a second invitational crown here. So Storm continues to look good, especially in the hands of Caleb and Paul. I know Paul squeaked into day 2.
And
Caleb, And Emma, too. You're right about that. Paul squeaked into day 2. Caleb comfortably into number 2 at 9-2 here.
Nice.
Good position.
Good record.
Yeah.
In a tournament this difficult, having a record as strong as 9-2 with 6 matches to go, definitely a spot where I would like to be personally.
So, interesting question. I know that you and I are big fans of humans. Should we just be playing Storm?
No.
No?
No.
All right.
And I don't want to talk about it.
All right, man. You think Baral should be banned? Maybe you should be casting Baral.
That's fair.
How about that?
I also, well, you're right. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, fine. Fine. We won't. I guess we're not talking about it then. Brendan DeCandio, we're going to watch here in just a minute. A huge fan of Modern, as most of you know. DeCandio is going to be playing Mardu Pyromancer here in just a moment.
Yeah, and Wesley Reed's going to be his opponent on, looks like a fairly stock version of Affinity.
Boy, it's a tough matchup for
3
Affinity.
Galvanic Blast. He got a little bit of spice with 2 copies of Karn Sign of Urza. This is a way to really reward the Affinity player by, drawing too many copies of, like, Springleaf Drum or, getting an early Mox Opal draw.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty tough matchup here for the Affinity player. We're looking at Blood Moons to shut off some of those creature lands. Of course, Lingering Souls is always tough for Affinity, and a boatload of removal, too. And, Kolagon's command is good against Affinity for pretty obvious reasons.
All right.
So, yeah, you think it does okay?
It's fine.